Hello, a somewhat of a spoiler alert is in effect. We are the May Queens podcast. I am Mary Graves.
And I'm Heather.
And we are the May Queens. Welcome to another fantastic week. Heather, how has your week been going so far?
It's been going okay. I can't complain. I think I'll that though. It's been a good week. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I watched Army of the Dead for the first time a couple days ago and debuted my reaction to that yesterday. Fantastic movie. I'm still not over it. Like, it was just a lot of fun. It's a very fun movie. You can't take it too seriously. There are definitely things that they didn't do that they probably should have in this movie, or things that I don't know, just didn't connect so well. But if you are looking for some great gory effects and just a fun watch, cute guys, if you're looking for a movie with cute guys, this is a movie with cute guys. So I would definitely watch this movie again. It was a lot of fun. And other than that, just, doing my usual thing. I'm towards the end of that music production class I started. And we are finishing, well, technically I'm a day behind. Father's Day was this last weekend. And my oldest brother, I have three older brothers, but my oldest brother decided he was going to come a day early and spend the night with his youngest son. So not only did I have like 24 hours less to clean the house than I wanted, but I also, like, all my projects got pushed back. So now I'm behind in my class, but we're almost done, so I guess it's okay. It just means I won't get the feedback that I'm looking for my next song, but that's fine, whatever. I know what's wrong with it. I don't need to have people tell me what's wrong with it. I'll be working on it till my fingers bleed, but it's still a lot of fun. And then hopefully one day I will put those songs out for you guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to relate them to any horror movies as horror hymns, but they might just be like, I'll put an album together of horror hymns and those songs will just be on there, so. All right, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Last week we talked about our favorite underrated movies, and today we are going to be talking about our least favorite movies in the horror genre, underrated or not. I think the two that I'm going to talk about probably aren't talked about a lot, and there's a reason for that. I think that's probably going to be the way it is for you too, right, Heather?
Well, one of them I might be kind of talked about, but it's kind of like a toss-up.
Okay, cool. Well, continuing kind of on the trend, we were talking about last week about movies, like, even if they're bad, they're still good because it's still art and still made for somebody. And, that somebody might actually like these movies, or you may want to revisit them and, just do a drinking game if you drink, or just have a good laugh if it's supposed to be like serious, scary, but it's so bad that you can't take it seriously. Sometimes those are really fun watches too. And so I figured we would tackle a couple of those today. And I believe I let you start first last time, Heather. So I'm going to take the reins and go first on this one. And my first choice, we're only going to talk about two each this time. Although I might throw in a bonus third that's been in the back of my head lately. But first, we'll stick with two for now, and then we'll see what happens. The funny thing is that my first pick I actually have on DVD because it was part of my mom's DVD collection. And if you've been listening, she passed away a few years ago. And now it's part of my collection. So I have it. And I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it. I was going to watch it in preparation for this podcast to see if it was something that I was wrong about. But then I kept thinking about the ending of the movie. And I just couldn't muster up the courage to watch it, or not the courage, the care. I couldn't muster up the care to rewatch it, but I'm sure I will one day. And that is An American Haunting, which when did this even come out? It's a 2005 movie. It's Lionsgate. That's a shame, because Lionsgate usually was really good, even now, at putting out good horror films. I can't really say Lionsgate and not think of like a billion good movies I've seen, or they're responsible for releasing old movies too on DVD, just like Anchor Bay back in the day. But this movie, so close to being something good too. It's based on a true story. like, Amityville Horror, the original. That was a great movie based on a true story, even loosely based. It was still a fun movie. It's an American Haunting, so it's a ghost story set in colonial times. So you got that whole, it's a period piece thing going for it. That should be fun. You have Donald Sutherland and Sissy Spacek in this movie. Two phenomenal actors and actresses, but they're even horror movie actors and actresses. This movie should be a win, and it's just awful. Have you seen this movie before?
I don't really recall much of it. I think it was pretty slow too.
Yeah, it's a pretty forgettable movie too. I think that's another thing that bugs me about it, is that it's pretty forgettable. Basically, the story is about this girl, their daughter, played by I believe it's Rachel Hurd Wood is the girl's name. And I'm almost positive it's the same girl that was in the new release of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I'm sorry, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. I think she was on that. I'm almost positive that's the same girl, but I could be completely wrong about that. But I'm almost positive. I'm actually gonna look that up. That's why I do this with my computer in front of me, so I can look stuff up. But basically, this girl, their daughter, is having these hauntings where a spirit is not possessing her, but doing stuff to her. It's almost like the entity with Barbara Hershey in The Entity, where she's basically being, trigger warning, raped by a ghost, except it doesn't necessarily go that far in this movie because it is a child that they're showing. So it's not like you see a lot of stuff happening to this girl, just that she's on the bed and she can't move, basically. So there's a creep factor right there. Rachel Hurd Wood, was I right about her being... I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm not right about her being in that. She's in the Peter Pan movie. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. It was the Peter Pan movie that she was in. But she just has one of those faces. I'm actually surprised that I don't see her in much now. And it looks like she's done some stuff, but nothing that was huge since. So basically, you find out, and this is where the spoiler alert comes in, that the spirit, if it is even a spirit, is her reliving what her father, played by Donald Sutherland, has done to her. So you've got this creepy, like, father abusing the daughter thing in it too, which can make for, a good story. It's based on a true story. It's stuff that happens in real life. So it's not like it's something you can really hide from. It's, it's awful things that happen and you hear about them in the news on TV. But in the end, the spirit is responsible for killing Donald Sutherland's character when really it's Sissy Spacek, the wife, murdered her husband because she found out. And what bugs me so much about this is that it's obviously not an actual, like, this is based on a true story of a ghost that killed a man. How stupid were people in colonial times? They couldn't be like, oh, she murdered her husband. There was no ghost. There was no haunting. She fucking killed her husband. Okay, let's put it out there. She killed her husband. He was a pervert and frankly deserved to die. And we all know how I feel about people who are like this. They just deserve to die. But yeah, so it's not a real haunting. I mean, whatever you believe about ghosts and stuff, you may not even believe in ghosts, but this was obviously people of the past not seeing what was right in front of them. I've watched a lot of crime procedurals, a lot of SVU and stuff too. So I'm a ghost person, but I'm also like, it was rape and murder. That's what it was. And they put it under the guise of a ghost story. And it was so disappointing because I think it would have made a really great crime drama if they had just left it as a crime drama. You add this whole ghost element that just doesn't make any sense. It's like with Gothica, there was a huge crime thing there. But it's the point that they were connecting the wife who had nothing to do with anything except that she was just married to the guy. And in this, it's this girl who had real life abuse having to relive it through a ghost. It made me angry. And yet I still have it, and I'll never sell it. I'll never give it away because I feel like every DVD in the collection, whether I watch it regularly or not, it's got a purpose there. So yeah, that's my rant on that movie. All right. Any notes from you on this? You said you don't really remember anything about it.
No, I just remember like I think Sissy Spacek like pops out of bed at one point, and that's pretty much all I remember. That's it.
I'm sure she does that at some point too. All right. What is your first pick?
The ABCs of Death.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
I like really expected it to be good. I want to say it's like an anthology because it like for each letter of the alphabet they give a different story. It's just I think I made it up to H and that was pushing it. Like I was having a hard time getting that far. I don't know. It like someone told me that it was really, really good. And so I found it one day when I was shopping. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get it. And I tried it and it was just really, really, really bad. Like,
so like, you're saying that there's 26 different stories in this anthology?
I think so. And I know it's supposed to be one for each letter, but I only made it to H. So I don't know if they like do it for all the other letters, but they're supposed to.
Okay. Because there are sequels to this movie. Isn't there like one or two different sequels?
I know there's for sure a second one.
Okay. Because oh my God, I can't like they better be short stories if you're gonna try to get the attention of everybody.
Yeah, they're pretty short. Maybe they just didn't have long enough to like get my attention. I don't know. Maybe I need a little more backstory to get involved, but I just didn't really care for it.
It's like when a movie that has an interesting plot goes from being a 2-hour movie and the studio makes it cut it down to 90 minutes because nobody wants to watch a horror movie that's past 90 minutes. And it's like, no, we want the good story. We want to see the good deaths. So we want to see the good like twists. And, you know, we want to see this hole connected to that hole. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's so short that you miss the juicy pieces of the story.
Yeah, and not finishing it could probably be a reason too. But I mean, that normally I will finish it. Okay, it was that bad. Like I could not. And I was watching it with my son, and even he was like, "Oh my gosh," he's like, "I'm not picking out movies again," because he picked out that one, and I'm like, he picked it out for us to watch that night, you know. And I'm like, it's not your fault. I'm the one who bought it. Like it was bad.
Oh man. Yeah, well, okay. So, well, I know that's one that's on my list. I feel like now I'm challenged to try to make my way through each and every story on there. I will tell you a good anthology story or movie if you've never watched it before. Tales from Halloween. I think that's the title. It's either Tales of Halloween or Tales from Halloween. But I watched this for back when I was doing the Twitter thing every Thursday night. That was one of our double feature movies. And that's a good like 15 stories in one movie. Maybe it's 8. It's somewhere between 8 and 15. 8 is still a lot for an anthology. But the more stories you get into, they start connecting them to other stories. And it turns out like everything happens on one night in the same town too. And it was just, and plus the stories are really good. Like some of them, even for short stories, they were either really funny with scary things or they were just really creepy. The opening one's really creepy. And there was one story that sticks out in my head with a Jason-like character at a campground hunting down this girl dressed as like the Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. And he kills her after killing all of her friends. You don't see them die, but you know they're all dead. And then an alien comes down and is like, trick or treat, this little tiny claymation alien. And he's like, I got no candy. He tries to squish the alien. Alien goes into the dead body of the girl he just killed. And then the girl's dead body is trying to kill him because he wants candy. It's so balls to the wall crazy that it's just done really well. So I think that's the standard I hold a lot of anthologies to now is Tales from Halloween or Tales of Halloween. But yeah, so I feel a challenge coming on. I'm going to try to watch all of ABCs of Death and see where one, where it ends, and two, if I can get through all the stories.
Now I feel like maybe I should rewatch it to see if they are connected.
There you go. See, even the movies we can't even get through or stand to watch, there's a purpose for them. At some point down the line, there's a purpose for them. I'm knocking into things. If you hear bumping, I'm too much talking with my hands, but it's how I do. All right, my second pick. Oh, man, this one is going to be hard to explain because I haven't watched it in years, and I'm waiting to rewatch it until I can get back together with my second oldest brother, who I originally watched it with, because I don't think I was of drinking age when we first watched it. So I wasn't drinking, and I don't think he was drinking because he was hanging out with me and my third oldest brother. And we want to get back together, actually have some drinks, and watch this movie over again. And that is Cemetery Gates, which I am pulling up. I'm not even sure. I think it's available possibly to rent on Amazon, but I don't think it's available streaming anymore anywhere, just regularly streaming. I think at one point it was, but as far as I know, it's not anymore. And the funny thing is that this movie's so awful and so not well known, and yet I saw either one of the actors or the director on that 100 scariest movie moments countdown that they ran on Bravo. One of them was on there talking about one of the movies in the countdown, and it said under his name, dude's name, Cemetery Gates. And I'm like, why is this guy considered an expert, and why are they using that movie? He has to be on other movies to be considered an expert. Why this movie? It's so bad, but it is one of those movies that's so bad that it will make you laugh, which is why we want to rewatch it. It is it's so ridiculous, just the story concept alone. It is about a genetically mutated Tasmanian devil that is liberated by two eco-activists and set loose in a woodland cemetery. So that's where the cemetery comes in. And I'm telling you, the effects, the costuming for this Tasmanian devil looks just like a garbage bag they threw on a dude, and like fur and stuff taped to it. It's really bad. There is one cartoon moment because the eco-activists are high. So when they see the Tasmanian devil, it's in cartoon form, and then they get mauled. But that part is one, hilarious, and two, well done. The cartoon's actually pretty well done, so I'll give them credit for that. But the fact that they do a genetically modified creature, and I just looked it up before we got on here, Roy Knyrim, Knyrim, I don't know how to pronounce that. He worked on visual effects, I shit you not, for Tremors, Darkman, and The Abyss. These are heavy effects movies, and this is the horror movie that he came out with. It's so bad. Like, even the cinematography is just like childish, like something I would make right now. Bad. But that being said, I do plan on actually rewatching this one because it's just so good for a laugh. So I'm gonna say go find it and go laugh. And it is spelled cemetery as in traditionally, not like Pet Cemetery, so it should be easy to find. Have you ever seen this movie or heard about this movie?
I've heard about it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I have no recollection of it, so I kind of want to see what this Tasmanian devil looks like.
Yep. Oh God, there's this one scene too where the Tasmanian devil is stealing a cargo van. I think it belonged to the eco activists. And you can tell it's a guy wearing a garbage bag for a suit because the Tasmanian devil gets up on two legs and grabs both doors of the cargo van to shut them like a human would, with thumbs and everything. So it's just so stupidly done that it made us laugh the entire way through. And it was one of those great discoveries too. My brother went out to Blockbuster. And he rented two movies for us to watch that night. One was See No Evil with Kane, which Loved that movie. And the second one was Cemetery Gates. And we had no idea what we were getting into with Cemetery Gates. He's like, the cover, like, he got drawn in by the cover. Cover art does matter. But he got drawn in by the cover, and we watched it. So I guess they got their money from that watch. But yeah. So that's one to add to your list if you need a good laugh, for sure. All right, Heather, what is your next pick?
I'm gonna do two.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so one is the whole Paranormal Activity franchise as a whole. I really tried so hard to like it. The last one I saw was the marked ones, and that one was all right. Like that one, I wasn't pissed that I went to the movie theater and saw it. I wasn't mad. But the others, it's so obviously fake to me. It just doesn't look scary to me at all. Like, I just don't understand why people were like calling it one of the scariest movies or whatever they said about it. I just don't understand. Like the first three were like pretty much the same lady. I can't remember now. With the first and third, I don't know.
The first one was the couple. I love these movies, except I haven't seen the last one. But people hate stuff, people love stuff. That's why we talk about it, because then you can watch it and decide for yourself. But the first one I remember was obviously the original couple. Then her sister was the second one, and she, spoiler alert, shows up at the end. There's a baby in the second one too. And then the third one was my favorite because I thought it was way more unique than the first two, because it goes back into the past and it had that VHS element to it that I thought made it just a little bit creepier. And then you see like the sisters together in the house growing up and kind of how they got dragged into the demon cult that they fall prey to in the first two. So that's why I like that one. But the fourth one is whatever. And the fifth one, I think the fifth one was the marked ones.
Okay.
And then there was another one that was the ghost dimension. I think that was the last one. I feel like there might have been one more after that. So I may have missed either one or two of them. But I am a little Paranormal Activity out. I think they peaked at the third one. So I'll give you that.
Yeah. I'll agree with you. Or I think their peak was the marked ones to me, which the third one was where it was kind of like a witchy thing, right?
Yes, that's probably why I like the third one too. There's the witchy element.
So that one I liked better than the first two. I just couldn't remember which one was second and third. But yeah, anything witchy I usually like. And I guess I'll do my other one. My other one is The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan. How do you say his name?
Okay, so I've always heard it M. Night Shyamalan until I started hearing people from like England say Shyamalan. They add something to it. It's got the Y, so it could be Shyamalan, but I just call him Shyamalan because that's what I heard for years until the last couple of years. So I don't know. That dude who did The Sixth Sense. There we go.
Sixth Sense, Split. Yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff.
Old is coming out in a month. That's gonna be a movie.
It's good because it looks so good. It
does.
With The Visit, like, I think the reason why I don't like this one is because it wasn't what I expected or what I wanted it to be. I love the cast, especially the lead. I don't remember her name. I meant to look that up before. She's the really funny girl. Oh my gosh. Catherine Hahn. She's in there, and I like her. I mean, I like the cast. You know, it's not bad or anything. I just, you know, they go and they're like visiting their grandparents, and the mom hasn't talked to them in a long time, and so the brother and sister don't even know what they look like, and they like get dropped off, and so they're just like chilling with them, and there's just like a whole bunch of weird stuff going on. Like they're not allowed to leave the room at 9 o'clock, and then you hear weird stuff, and then like I was thinking like maybe it was gonna be like some weird crazy people had come in and claimed to be their grandparents, and it was just someone else, not really, that they didn't know that it was someone else, but how it actually happened, I guess is a great storyline. I just that's not what I wanted to happen. So I just didn't like it. I'm being honest though, you know.
Well, okay, so that's what I heard it was that it was escaped mental patients or something that was claiming to be the grandparents. What was it?
For a second I was thinking it was aliens. I don't remember. Maybe it was escaped mental patients. I don't know. I've only watched it twice. Was it really mental patients? I don't remember.
Well, see, now we have to rewatch it and see what the ending was, because I thought it was going to be something like aliens or demons. And then I thought I heard that it was escaped mental patients, but maybe it's the opposite. I don't know.
I can't. I was thinking it was like aliens or something, or maybe I thought it was aliens and then it was something else, and then I was just like pissed off. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the problem too, and that's what, tells you that it's not a great movie, where you can't even remember the twist when there's a twist. The twist is very important. M. Night Shyamalan, whatever. It's important.
I have a bad habit of forgetting stuff though. Like I'm so forgetful, especially because like for the longest time I took Ambien to go to sleep, and a lot of times I'll watch a movie before bed, you know, and then I'll remember part of it. Sometimes I remember part of it, sometimes I don't. But like now I take trazodone and it's a heavy dose, so I'm having the same problems. But this one I haven't watched recently. I did watch it back in the Ambien days, or I watched it when I bought it, because I went ahead and bought it to give it a second chance, and that was probably about a year ago, because I right about this time when I moved in here. But I just forgot what I was going to say. Yeah. Now I just want to skip to the end because I don't remember what happened. It's driving me crazy.
Well, you have the DVD or the Blu-ray, so now you can do that. You can just skip ahead. You don't have to watch the whole thing. And now with American Haunting, it's like I already remember the ending. I need to remember if the stuff in the middle was any good, but meh. I'm okay with not knowing that. But I haven't watched The Visit, so I'm just hearing what I've heard. I'm telling what I've heard about it. So that might be a one that I'll watch at some point. I heard that The Taking of Deborah Logan, though, that's supposed to be a great movie and kind of along the same thing, except the news crew, it's a news crew, not somebody's grandkids, are coming over, and they're visiting this old woman who is, she's got Alzheimer's supposedly or something, or dementia, and she's supposed to be in her final stages. But then, another spoiler, but it's spoiled for me because I haven't actually watched it yet, she is supposed to actually be possessed by a demon or something, and then it transforms from there. That's all I really know about it. I don't know if people start dying afterwards or if it gets gory. I think it's supposed to be found footage. Is The Visit found footage-y?
I mean, I don't know if I don't know, because I don't know if I would explain it as that or not, because in the beginning, like, it has the mom going, I guess, and bringing him to the airport, and then they, like, I don't know, maybe they talk on the phone, like video call, Skype or something with their mom while they're there. I don't remember how it ends, so I can't remember if it is found footage ish.
I'm trying to remember the previews for The Visit as well, and I'm like, I feel like there was a found footage element to that movie, but I can't really remember. It's been so long. Okay, so that one I'm gonna have to check out just so I can know what happened in the ending, because I thought I had it spoiled for me, and now I don't know if I do. And then, like, that's gonna stop me from watching a movie anyway. But it'll make me put off watching a movie, especially if they tell me something horrible, like with I Am Legend, which great movie. Hate certain parts of that movie. And I had it spoiled ahead of time for me that the dog dies, and then. Oh my God, this is such a stupid story. I'm in the car with my mom and I'm in the passenger seat and we're talking about I Am Legend. She had gone to see it without me for some reason. Usually we would go to movies like that together. Maybe I was in college. And I'm like, I already know the dog dies. And she mentions that Will Smith dies. And I'm like, I didn't know that part yet. I was so mad because I did not want the whole movie spoiled for me. It was bad enough that I knew the dog died, but if a dog's gonna die in a movie, I'd rather be warned ahead of time anyway. And God, it's like the worst death in that movie.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, okay. So I have a bonus movie, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, and that is the original, not the original, the remake of the Amityville horror movie with Ryan Reynolds. Now, I love Ryan Reynolds. He's super gorgeous in this movie. But so is James Brolin in the original. Like, beautiful man, gets all scruffy and stuff as the movie goes on. My biggest problem with that, other than the fact that they were kind of trying to rip off the J horror type like aesthetic with their movie. So I don't know why they needed to hop on that trend and not be original with what they were doing. They just didn't do it as well as The Ring and The Grudge. And even then, I haven't seen the original Ring and Grudge, but I'm assuming that those are probably better than what we did anyway. But The Ring is still really good if you haven't seen the original to watch on its own. But also, they killed the dog. We're coming back to the dog killings here. The whole point, the whole like big ending of the original Amityville horror movie, James Brolin goes back in the house to get the dog. Like, that's like the crazy guy becoming the hero in the end. And in this one, Ryan Reynolds is just crazy. I can't even remember if he redeems himself at all before they move out of the house. I just remember that he killed the dog, and then I think I just stopped paying attention to the movie after that. I'm like, dog lived in the original. Why am I watching this? It was just such a disappointing movie. So that's one. I'm not even gonna give it a second chance. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, you're beautiful. I will Google looking you up shirtless in that movie if I want to see that. There is no draw for me to ever rewatch that movie. So that's about it.
It's funny you said that because I was gonna pick Amityville: The Awakening, and I was like, wait, we're picking movies we don't like, not movies we do like. I was picking up one that I liked. So, but yeah.
Which one was The Awakening?
The one with Bella Thorne, and it had, I think it was it Ian from Shameless, the redheaded guy, and he was like bedbound. I can't remember what was wrong with him. And then I want to say like they move in the house, and then all of a sudden his condition starts improving.
Wait, so it's like a more modern, like the last like 10 years?
Yes. Yeah. It's hold on. I had it sticking out earlier because it's one that I want to watch again, but I'll push it. Oh, here it is. And then the Amityville Murders is pretty good too. Like, okay, so this one's Amityville: The Awakening. Oh, there's a freaking glare. And it had Cameron Monaghan. He's in there. He's really good. Bella Thorne does really well. Jennifer Jason Leigh. Oh, and Jennifer Morrison.
Oh.
So I didn't even realize she was in there. Kurtwood Smith. Why does that sound familiar?
He was the dad of that 70s show.
That's why. Okay.
Also, he was the guy who was the leader of the gang in RoboCop. The no guy.
And then this one is more focused on what happened with Ronald DeFeo Jr. when that was before the events of the Amityville horror, or the House of Amityville, or yeah, it's the Amityville horror. Like the people from, okay, so the Lutzes came into Amityville horror. That was after Ronald DeFeo Jr. had already killed, his family. So this one kind of feels like a prequel,
But isn't that what the second Amityville was about? The possession?
Too. And I was like, do I remember that wrong? And my Amityville 2-pack is a 2-pack, so I don't think, will it say? It says Anthony and Dolores Montelli. So I guess not, but it felt a lot. That's the one with the brother and the sister where they're kind of like,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking it was the same too, but if this is right, they've got a different name. So I don't remember. But this one, because like there's so many of them, it's hard to remember, but I like this one too because it was, you know, the Ronald Feo Jr. and like people who don't really know the story, it kind of fills them in a little bit more.
You know what? I think I remember we watched part 2, The Possession, in my Twitter group. But like one of the last few weeks we were doing that. That was one of our movies. And I think the Monticelli's people were supposed to represent the DeFeos, but they couldn't legally use the name at the time. And I think they were mad because they added that brother-sister element into it, which there might have been a little bit of that in the story, but it wasn't that gross as it was in part 2. So yeah, that was something I don't need to rewatch and relive.
I loved the movie until it had that. Like that's the one part where I'm just like, why do you have to do that? Like, no.
Yeah, there's the one scene. So I grew up in okay, I know this stuff does happen sometimes. There's, you know, people get weird and incestual in some families when, you know, there's no boundaries and, you know, parents aren't teaching their kids the right things, or leaving their kids on their own too much. I know it happens. I grew up with 3 older brothers. None of that crap happened in my house. And just there's this one scene where the brother's like, and he's already possessed, and he's like, take your top and bra off and sit on my bed. I just want to see you. One, they never just want to see you. The brother, other men, whatever, they never just want to see you. And 2, she just agrees to it. Like, okay, haha, it's just a play. Like, was she possessed too by a stupid ghost? Come on. It was icky. And it made me angry because it just made women seem stupid and vulnerable. And the guy was possessed, so he had a reason for being a douche, but still, it was just so bad. Other than that, the movie was good. Just that element was really creepy. So, yeah. Aren't there like 20 different Amityville movies too?
Yeah, and I want them all, and it's a problem because there's so many. There's Amityville 3D, Amityville 4. 3D, I think, is the one with Lori Loughlin and Meg Ryan.
I didn't know they were in those.
And then, and then 4, and then Amityville The Curse, Amityville 1992, and Amityville, what is that, A New Generation, I think. Oh, wait, there's another. Amityville Dollhouse, and then I didn't mention the first 2 because you already knew I had those, or the 2 that I mentioned earlier, the Amityville Murder Awakening. But I want them all. There's one called Amityville Vibrator. I want that. I just like, let's just. I mean, I really grew. Like I told you before, I'm kind of obsessed with the Amityville shit. Like I watched all these when I was little, and like it was just always fascinating to me, especially because they always just change it up, and like some of it's really corny and cheesy, but I like to see each take on it. Oh wait, maybe it was 4.
You have the VHS too.
Yeah, most of them I have are in VHS. Dang it, I can't remember. Okay, so it's not 3D. It's not 4. Which, maybe it Curse? I can't remember which one Lori Loughlin and Meg Ryan are in. Now it's gonna annoy me. Oh well, I give up.
I'm breaking out the IMDb. I feel like I may have seen the Dollhouse one because that sounds really familiar. I thought I watched a couple of these when I was a kid, but you know, just so many horror movies. Sometimes they blend together after a while if you don't watch them more than once.
They have good covers. Like this one's cut, but like the hand reaching out in front of the house. That's part of the reason why I love them too. Then there's that one.
Meg Ryan is in Amityville 3D.
She is okay, so I'm not completely losing it.
And Lori Loughlin, there she is.
Yeah. And there's that one. I like this one, but it's a little bit messed up on the front. And then there's the Dollhouse.
Yeah, that looks really familiar.
Might have seen that one. And there's that one, another cut. And I like this one a lot too because it has the clock.
Maybe I've seen that one too. God, that does look really super familiar. Man, taking me back. Like 1992, is that when that movie came out too? Because I would have been like 6 or 7.
Let's see. Yeah, well, it says 1992 on here. So either this tape was put out in 92 or it was made then and put out then.
See, watching horror movies since I was a tiny, tiny child over here. It's so funny. My brother brought his youngest son, who is 14 now, and he still has never watched a horror movie. He's watched, like, I guess there's this show on Netflix called Creeped Out, and he showed me an episode of it. It was pretty good. It was very much like the Netflix answer to Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, and Erie, Indiana. So they have their own series where every episode's an anthology, and it's in the kids section. He still watches stuff in the kids section, and he's 14. I get his parents are trying to protect him, and really it's his mom, because his dad also watched horror movies at a younger age. But I'm like, I want to put something on that's scary. I want to scare the crap out of my nephew. I want to be there when he watches his first horror movie. And my oldest brother and I are talking, just horror movies in general. And told him I got Spookies on Blu-ray. And he's like, oh my God, Spookies, because he hasn't talked about it in years. And I'm like, we should make your son watch a horror movie while he's here. And we didn't do it. But I wish we would have. Man, like, I love, love, love those kids. But I worry about the fact that they were pretty sheltered in terms of like just general media. But like they weren't even allowed to watch Princess Bride until they were probably 14, 13, 14. And I'm like, I was a child. Like I was young, like young when I first started watching that movie. Probably like 3, since I could remember watching movies. I was watching The Princess Bride and falling in love with Carrie Elways and As You Wish, and knowing Columbo was the grandpa. It's just, that was like classic cinema for me. And they couldn't watch it till they were older. That's not my older brother. That's definitely his wife. And I don't know. I feel like my life might be crap, but in terms of personality, I'm not likely to shoot up a place or to do like a ton of drugs and overdose. That's not my personality. I think the horror movies helping me adjust to the horrors of real life has been a benefit. So I don't think that's the way it is for everybody. Sometimes people just have a switch in their head that they can't control. But I know horror movies haven't harmed my life any more than life has harmed my life. So, oh well. Hopefully one day scare the crap out of all my nieces and nephews.
Hopefully so.
My youngest older brother, though, the one who I basically grew up with, because my oldest is 10 years older than me, and my youngest older brother is a little over 2 years, I think a little over, possibly under 2 years older than me. I know he was showing his kids horror movies very early on. And I know the youngest one is still kind of afraid. The oldest one doesn't care. And the middle child, who's his oldest daughter, is like me. She's like, I want to watch Halloween. I want to watch this. The only thing they have a limit on is a lot of like movies with graphic sex in it, which my parents kind of had for me at an early age too. They waited until I was probably like 10 or maybe 12 to watch anything with graphic sex scenes in it. Or we'll watch the movie and he'll be like, shield your eyes to the kids. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah. Well, I definitely came over around Halloween last year and I was very pleasantly surprised that we were watching Arachnophobia together, and they're like 10 and 13 years old and younger. So that's a lot of fun. If I had kids, that's the way I would raise them for sure. And if my partner didn't understand, then that's not, I wouldn't be having kids with that partner anyway. So
exactly.
All right. Well, that's it. We went longer than I thought we were going to, but I guess once you get on a roll with these kinds of movies, it's just so much fun to see. We're talking about bad movies, and yet we keep just snowballing into more horror conversations. We talk about more bad movies, we talk about good movies, and it's all a part of our lives. We got to keep these movies alive. And you know what? I'm going to challenge you guys out there to find us on Instagram or on Twitter. Mary Grave CLE, Maire Grave CLE on Twitter and Instagram. Heather_loves_horror on Instagram, and Heather Beck MYE1 on Twitter. And tell us what your least favorite horror movie is. I want to compile a list. I want us to know what the bad movies are out there, and I want to know whether or not we think they're bad too. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, my cat is chewing on stuff back there. He likes to rip up papers. Sorry if you hear that. He's just tearing away at stuff on the ground that I haven't put away yet. It's their dinner time, so he's trying to get my attention. But actually, no, I'm gonna grab him. Hi. You're coming on camera. That's right. This is Charlie. I'm gonna challenge you to tell us what your least favorite movies are, and then maybe, just maybe, we will watch them and talk about them at some point. In fact, maybe I just had this thought earlier today. We should do a Zoom podcast where we watch the movie. The whole podcast wouldn't be us watching the movie. I'd edit that down. But then we talk about it immediately afterward.
That'd be cool.
We need a list though. We need a list from you guys. So you know where to find us on Instagram and Twitter. We're most available. We do have an email. I just can't remember what the email is. I think it's May Queens Pod, but it might be, we're on Twitter at May Queens Pod as well. So not podcast. It was too long of a username. So it's May Queens Pod. I think that's what we are on Instagram as well. Reach out to us at any one of those usernames. Tell us what your least favorite movie is. We'll compile a list, and then we'll see what happens from there. Oh, he's trying to escape. All right, Heather, what do you got coming up for the rest of this week?
Houston Horror Film Fest. I'm so excited.
Fun.
And then, so I'm going to that because it's like my birthday present for me.
That's right, cancer season.
Yeah, so Danielle Harris is gonna be there. Clint Howard, Butch, the Eddie Munster dude. There's so many people I can't even fucking remember. Like, I'm just like so excited, but I don't know who I want to meet the most. So it's kind of like, oh, and finally I'll get to meet Melissa Rose, because like every time I've like wanted to meet her, I got in her line the first night that I was at Texas Frightmare Weekend, and I could have met her and then PJ Souls and Barbara Crampton, but my son like wore out and he was just like he was ready to go. And I'm like, and then the whole sorry, excuse my language, not him, motherfucking general, like, but wow, great mom. But so like so the next day, it was Saturday, well, I had photo ops. You have to go stand in line for too long, so I didn't schedule any this time, which might be a regret, but we'll see. And then Sunday, like, I didn't have enough time. I had to leave because my kids had school the next day, so it was just like, it didn't happen. It wasn't in the cards. I was about 12 away from getting to meet Bruce Campbell.
Oh, who just had a birthday today or a couple days ago too.
I did. Yeah. And I have the Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way book. I was gonna, but it's never gonna happen now.
Oh, you never know. Well, remember, Lauren is gonna hook up with Rob Zombie. We're gonna hook up with Eli Roth, and they will connect us to Bruce Campbell. And then we'll get the book signed and everything.
And then we'll have our own episode on his history of horror.
Yes. That is the plan.
That would be awesome. What do you have going on this week?
Let's see. I'm gonna be dog sitting for the next week. Starting the day this episode comes out, actually, is when I move into the new temporary house. I get to dog sit with a couple schnauzers and a mixed breed terrier type and a couple cats. And that means my animals are going to miss me, but I come and visit them every day to make sure they're being taken care of. But because I'm going to be away from my house tomorrow, I am doing not just packing, but a full marathon of just filming Terror Tuesday stuff, because I've caught up to the stuff I filmed ahead of time before. But I figured if I can do a day worth of watching, I still can't find Near Dark. I'm so upset I can't get to Near Dark. I tried a VPN and I couldn't find it that way either. And the VPN slowed everything down, so I'm getting rid of that trial. It's ridiculous. But Near Dark is just going to have to wait. I hope Studio Canal is going to come out with that movie on DVD. I will be one of the first people to purchase it if they do. And other than that, I did move something up that I was waiting a couple months to watch that I'm very excited about. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it, but this is another one of those movies where it's like perfect 80s, perfect fun, great lines, great characters. Heard about it in a couple of documentaries. And I'm going to cheer myself up about Near Dark by watching this one. So I'm going to do like a 3-movie marathon tomorrow, just recording back to back. And then I can spend all my dog sitting time, other than playing with the puppies, which I know I'll get distracted by, watching or editing these movies together. So that'll be my plan for the next week. And I need to do more reels. I haven't done reels in a couple weeks. So my Are You Psychic pick a card thing, I haven't done that for a while. So there will be more of those coming out too. And that's just about it. Hopefully I'll be getting some writing done while I'm away too, because I love my dad, but he can be a huge distraction sometimes in my productivity. So I'll be away and I'll have some time to myself. So that's the plan. That's always the plan. It doesn't always pan out, but that's usually the plan. Oh, and I'm working on a project. It's just the beginning stages with he's a crafty one. He's crafty. So hopefully we'll have more information as that comes to light, but that could be a thing months and maybe even a couple of years in the making. But it's another thing that's going to keep me busy and working. So hopefully I'll have more news for you guys on that later, but that's about it.
Sounds awesome.
All right. Well, then this has been another fantastic episode of the May Queens podcast. Thank you for joining us. And Heather, I will talk to you next week.
All right, later.
Have fun.
All right, I'm going to.
Bye.